Welcome to the Day 3 session of Earth Day 2022 event, organized by Futuresavers Sustainable Development Initiative in partnership with Ervis Foundation. The voice you're about to hear is that of Seyi Akinwumi, founder of Futuresavers Sustainable Development Initiative Nigeria. Enjoy.
Wonderful visitor today, and I believe that everybody who is looking forward to hearing from her. And also Priyanka is here. Priyanka might not be able to show her face today because she's a bit strong. I mean, you know what I mean. So she has been doing a lot for this day to come alive. And Priyanka is a partner in India from Ervis Foundation. And then this program is actually put together by Futuresavers and Ervis Foundation in India. We also have POP Movement, an organization based in the United States and also with presence in India. And this is also supported by Earth Day Africa. The Earth Day is the biggest civic movement in the whole world. And you understand that we are almost going to be celebrating Earth Day officially on the 22nd of this month. But I mean, Earth Day is every day, and we have started since 18th of this month, and here we are. So I just want to welcome everybody again to this day 3 of our 1 week event. We have a focus. If you might ask, what do we want to achieve? And the focus is to create a platform for African youth, for Asian youth, for youth everywhere in the world to be able to showcase their talent or whatever they are doing in their local communities around the world as to, helping the planet Earth to recover and also to help us to mitigate and adapt to climate change. Climate change is a big issue right now around the world. We're trying to bring this kind of conversation for people to learn. And this year we are focusing on investing in our planet. And then the best way to invest in our planet is, number one, knowledge. And then we have other means of investing in our planet through education, educating the young people, the young generations, because they are the one who will actually live longer than the older generation on the planet. And then they need the right knowledge. They need the right support from every one of us. And when it comes to experts and the likes, to be equipped with the right knowledge when it comes to climate education. And then we also going to be focusing on technology, because we believe technology and innovation is one major way to really bring a lot of solutions to climate problems across the world. So we want to create this platform for people to be able to project their ideas in terms of their project, whatever they are doing in their local community, because we know that without the right platform, you might not be noticed, you might not be encouraged, because truly, sometimes when you are doing something when it comes to volunteerism, you need that pat on your shoulder that you're doing well, that you're being encouraged. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring young people together, to be able to showcase what they are doing. From day 1 and day 2, you've seen diverse projects from people around the world, from Mexico, from India, from America, from different parts of Africa, why people come together to showcase what they are doing. It could be an idea, it could be a big project in renewable energy, in climate education, and the likes. And yesterday we were focused on culture. You see a lot of display from India. We also show a lot of documentary of how people are helping nature to recover, helping animals, helping birds, to have, a livable planet, a livable life on this planet. So today we are going to be focused on climate education. We are also going to be talking about innovation and technology in solving climate change. And we are having a phenomenal speaker here, and I would like Afolabi to introduce the speaker that we have right now, and then we are going to move to the next speaker, and that is how we're going to go. So this section is just all about a panel section first. Okay, you have opportunity today to be able to connect with the speakers, asking them questions after their presentation. We're going to open it for everybody so that you'll be able to meet the speaker, and at the same time, you'll be able to ask them questions. You'll be able to have a nice engagement with them, and that is our plan for today. So I want to believe that we are all ready on this day to be able to discuss investing in the youth through governance and human capital development in saving the planet, and also to discuss investing in next generation through climate education to saving the planet for today. So, Folashade, I want to believe that you have something to say.
Okay, thank you, Shay. I'll say, it's really nice to have everybody here. Thanks for the support. Thanks to everyone that was here. All right.
Yeah, please.
So, Pamela, thank you so much for honoring this invitation. It's a privilege and a very one at that. I'm not taking it for granted. And I would just want to read your profile. So Pamela is an award-winning environmental economist and sustainability strategist with 25 years of international experience, who consults with companies globally and develops educational programs for youth with our Eco-Hero program, now established in 11 countries. Pamela has been visiting schools since 2004 and inspires and educates youth to become planet protectors and restorers. An author, filmmaker, and educator, she was on the marketing team of the US Partnerships for the UNESCO Decade for Education for Sustainable Development, ESD. He received an honorary fellowship from the Versailles University, Brussels. I hope I did that well. In 2015 for our contributions to the field of sustainable development. She is also a former research fellow in economics from Columbia University and a fellow of the Explorers Club. Pamela produced and hosted our Planet TV show from 2001 to 2007 and was the writer and presenter of the NPR radio segment Sustainable Planet. Pamela contributed to reach new audiences as an expert columnist for Psychologist magazine Belgium, and recently published our first graphic novel with the Eco-Hero personality as one of the leads. Amazing. Honestly, a lot, like I'm saying, I'm really honored again to actually, with what you do with the youth. We're really looking forward to what we get today. I, for once, when I read the profile, I was like, no, this is somebody I must really connect with what you do with climate education all over the world. And we're really proud. And then today, we are here to learn at your feet. So please take it away.
Yes. And what a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much, both Seyi, for your efforts to gather the talent in Nigeria and beyond, because I've been aware that you have partnerships globally as well. And Folashade, thank you for these beautiful introductions. Distinguished guests from all around the world, you all have the heart in the right place. Please already share the slides if you could share your screen with the rest of the audiences. And I would expand a little bit on why I became that voice for Mother Earth and trying to create bridges between the human world, the economic structures, and the language of Mother Earth. Seyi had mentioned already technology and the human capital, education. There is one amazing, important component and pillar in that, and that is Mother Earth. The language of Mother Earth, and you'll see that at the end, the promise of listening to the language of Mother Earth, because There's a lot of job opportunity in that. So this is our planet. This is why we are gathering today. And that changed that globe. The first time that the man landed on the moon, to see the Earth, changed consciousness, changed mindset in a split second. So that is very powerful. You can give the first slide, please. So we're celebrating Mother Earth. Who am I? I'm a product of my time. I'm a product of my culture. That resulted in becoming an environmental economist. I'm also an eco-consultant. That means that I help companies through forecasting. I help communities, federations, and also localities, nations, to turn to sustainability as simply a new paradigm. I'm also a producer of media. If we think about the influencing factors, media is an extremely important asset. Media nurtures the minds of so many kids. So you have to have a foot in the door with media. I write, you already mentioned that I come out with a graphic novel. That's my 5th book. I like to gather information through my own research. Always do your own research. Always check your sources. Very important in the age of quick digestible media. Check your sources for fake news. Very important too. And an artist, well, I have many talents. It's just another way to channel my creativity, mostly to photography, but also clay. Again, the essence of Mother Earth. Next slide, please. And I think this is all ages, by the way, that I approach. So I start with the very little ones. This is the Children's Museum for the Arts in Manhattan. So I inspire basically people because I have a very close and respectful relationship with Mother Earth, which, if you look at me, creates joy and passion. And if you take on the challenge to get involved, believe me, your passion will increase. And I'm a catalyst to develop eco-heroes. Next slide, please. So we already briefly mentioned the writing, the producing, etc. Eco-hero, that was my mantra since the year 2000. I created a personality when moving from Belgium to the United States. In America, everybody likes heroes. We have Batman and Wonder Woman, and everybody loves that superpower. Well, I created one myself. And there she is. She has a shell phone. She has magic powers. You can find out for yourself maybe one day if you get the graphic novel. But it's, again, creating a platform where people can identify themselves in as well. The film festival was really important. I did that for the UNESCO Decade of Education for Sustainable Development, which showed that movement of educating people really became important to the United Nations. Otherwise, they do a year, for example, year of the mountain, year of the forest, year of the oceans. If they have a decade, it means this is a society that needs to shift. So I was part of the marketing team, and it gave me a tremendous experience. At that time, I produced and hosted the Sustainable Planet Film Festival. And I decided to include cultural voices from all around the world to show other people. Again, inspiration is a major component of education, and mentors, surrounding yourself with mentors. Next slide, please. And then why? Again, why do we need to care? Well, you saw that globe on the first page. That united humanity in a split second. That globe at this point is out of balance. And that is showcased by many things. The climate change is probably the urgency, the loss of biodiversity. We have so many different ecosystems. They're all in a crisis. Not one ecosystem is happy or in balance. Crisis equals opportunity. Therefore, again, Mother Earth is going to be your mentor as well. Next slide, please. And I love working with kids. You see that this the first workshop I did was in a park in Manhattan with a whole school of kids. Outdoor education is that extra plus. instead of inside a school education. Next slide, please. I just wanted to stay with this one because I noticed that there was a lady from Bahrain as well. So this is an article that came out in Bahrain when I launched my chapter there for the Sustainable Planet Film Festival. And it was a very interesting experience, especially to be exposed to desert situations. So this time, after amassing 25 years of experience, the green torch is in the hand of youth. Next slide, please. Now, what is exactly that problem? I think there is a twofold problem going on. Climate change, by the way, is a symptom. It's not a cause, it's not an origin. Climate change is at the end of the situation. So that is very important to know where the origin starts. And it's really a friction. It's a friction between humans who live and work and produce and consume according to a certain structure, and then the limited amount of resources. So here I use the case of Nigeria, which is really an important slide just to wrap your mind around. Today we're 7.9 billion people. 2050 will be 2 billion people more, 9.9. In Nigeria, right now, this was screenshot yesterday, 215 million. The expectation for Nigeria is 400 million people by 2050. All these people need food, water, access to energy, transportation methods. They need so many resources. We'll come back to that. You better get started. And Nigeria is not the only one, but the population explosion is definitely equally important to address. And not just the environmental component, because there is a cross that needs to be really explored on how we can help elevate the population into a more, I would say, comfortable lifestyle. And the education has to also change structurally. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Here, the ecological manifesto, it's just all these particular pressure points. So we are going to focus on the development part. What is wrong with our development? It's not just our environment. It's really the way we develop ourselves as a human species. Next slide, please. So the only challenge is now is to educate all these young people and to give them the hope and the tools to first understand there are major opportunities. And once they have their tools, they need to get to work through, again, what Sei said, those small programs, projects. Next slide, please. Here we go to the nutty of everything. Education for sustainability. I took the official definition of the Environmental Protection Agency of the USA. Basically, what is the process through which you allow individuals to explore their reality and also those pressure points? And once they have that education, what are the skills that they have achieved to create, again, these decisions that are responsible and timely? Next slide, please. I'm a product of my culture and time. I'm born in, shouldn't really reveal my age, but I'm born in the early 70s. And 1970 was a turning point in history. There have been isolated cases before, of course, and you will get all that information about the changers of mindset in my course. But 20 million people marched on the streets and campuses. And because of that initiative, again, the whole mindset changed. We went from conservation to modern environmental education. Go to the next slide, please. And so, again, I talked briefly about the UNESCO decade that I was a part of. And that decade also, there is an article from Reuters in 2017 that said we've never seen the amount of curriculum for sustainability. So, and we've never seen the messaging in media, again, talk shows, reality shows, TV, novellas. Suddenly people started to talk about recycling. Suddenly people started to talk about carpooling. So again, that effort of rise in messaging happened because the UNESCO decided to create a dedication. Shifting mindsets leads to change. Next slide, please. Okay, we need a hybrid model. We need the science, we need the awareness of what's going on with the planet, what's going on with our structural economic paradigm, and then we gotta get our hands dirty. Next slide, please. So I put here a picture at NASA in San Francisco, where I was interviewing people on a financial forum for sustainability. And the challenge is, we have, again, you said technology, but also to see nature as our teacher. Mother Earth is a mentor. She's 4.5 billion years old. I think she figured out what is efficient. We haven't. We are wasteful. We are not accurate in valuations. So the last little paragraph, all these new market opportunities are laid out for you. Energy efficiency, food security, fashion, fair trade, organic, cities, building, nature restoration. So for America, the promise just in biomimicry by 2025 is 1 million jobs. That's a huge opportunity. And what is in it for you? Next slide, please. So we have, again, the development issue that I pointed here out of my course. I picked a one that was really dear to me. Wangari Maathai, a first on many levels. First woman to receive a Nobel Prize for Peace. Why? Because she listened, again, to that voice of Mother Earth. I met her twice. I had the honor of interviewing her. Was larger than life, a bright light, and her energy of love, despite having been abused on so many different levels, she has been met with resistance. But innovators often get met with resistance because they challenge the status quo and they show potential alternatives, which makes some people very nervous because it means that they have to innovate or that they have to change. But thank God that she was rewarded for her initiative. She planted 30 million trees. She employed thousands of women, and thousands of women changed those lives, elevated those women within the economic structure. And that is very powerful. Next slide, please. So I already said you have to listen to Mother Earth. Mentors, take inspiration from mentors like a Wangari Maathai, and thanks to my TV show, I met so many mentors. Can I have that next slide, if that is still potentially possible?
Oh, I think that's the end of the slide.
Oh, there are 4 more. Not to worry. I will just continue without the slides in the background. I had met Wangari Maathai. There was just one with my email. The future. So the future, I look forward to train 1,000 eco-heroes in Nigeria. I mentioned the theory, the knowledge versus the hands-on experiences. So in my Become an Eco-Hero course, I give basically people assignments through 5 different challenges that touch potentially new, small initiatives, like little tiny micro projects, experimenting with food, thank you so much, experimenting with food solutions, very important in the fight for greenhouse gases, energy, waste, but most important also well-being. How do you take care of yourself and how do you take care of others? Because I heard again, we're all in this together, all in the same boat. We have to deal with reality. Humans caused it, so humans will have to solve. It's not a punishment. It's actually an opportunity to live in harmony with the planet, will lead to better mental health, to happier and healthier societies. So I thank you for the opportunity to share just a tiny bit of motivation and a tiny bit of inspiration, and the future is yours. So with the right mentorship, the right technological platforms, and the right incentives, a future for the next generations, I think there is a potential wonderful sustainable future for all of us.
Thank you, Pamela, for this wonderful presentation. It's a bit emotional. Like there are a lot of information there that really made my heart kind of beat faster. Kind of. You said something like, the last thing you said that I heard so much. You said human caused it, and then humans cause the problems, and humans have to solve this problem. So this is like so much of responsibility on us, because without passion, we can't be doing what we are doing right now. Mm-hmm. We can't say we want to go around the world to help people to get the right knowledge, the right education. If we don't have the passion, we will think like, well, I'm good enough. I don't care what the next generation have to face, but passion, and then the reality that we cause these problems and we will be the one to solve it. That is a big take home for me. And I want to say thank you, namaste for that. And I'm sure this is the panel section. And after the next speaker, everybody will have opportunity to engage, to ask questions, and also to be able to, get feedback from you. Thank you so much. So I have a rare privilege, a very, very rare privilege to be able to introduce the next speaker, who happens to be a friend to the last speaker as well. I mean, I've heard a lot, and I know how much Pamela admires Dr. Obiageli Ezekwesili so much, and it's a rare privilege. And I want to say thank you for everyone that made this possible as well. I want to appreciate Chuba and Chine for making sure this is a reality today. To bring someone of her caliber to this event is not also easy. I mean, we had two big personalities today, and I'm telling you, to be able to bring them on board in the same room, it's quite very, very overwhelming. And I want to say I'm so humble. And without much ado, before I open the floor for her, I would like to introduce her to every one of us. Dr. Obiageli Ezekwesili is the president of Human Capital Africa and senior economic advisor at African Economic Development Policy Initiative. She is the founder and chairperson of SPPG, School of Politics, Policy and Governance, which was established by the Fixed Politics Initiative, which she also co-chairs. Ezekwesili is the former vice president of World Bank and African region. She was the Minister of Education and also Mineral Resources of Nigeria. Dr. Obie Ezekwesili is the co-convener of Bring Back Our Girls campaign. She was a presidential candidate in the 2019 election in Nigeria. Dr. Ezekwesili is a senior fellow at the Yale-Jackson Institute for Global Affairs, United States, and also a Richard von Weizsäcker Fellow at the Robert Bosch Academy in Berlin, Germany. It's my honor, it's very, very a rare honor to welcome you, Ma, to this program, and the floor is yours, and I want you to paint it, the colors that you so much deserve.
Shay, thank you so very much. It is my pleasure to join you at this year's Earth Day 2022, and with the theme of Invest in Our Planet. You've got quite a rich agenda that you already started on since the 18th, I think 2 days ago.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So there must have been so much learning that has taken place on this platform. And so I am very delighted to be a part of it and also to learn because as I listened to my dear friend Pamela, I learned quite a lot. And as you can see, Pamela is a ball of fire when it comes to the issues around the planet. So it is indeed a privilege for all of us to see people like her who are totally committed to this agenda. I want to focus quickly because we've got limited time and I have to run into yet another meeting almost immediately after. The topic that you've told me to speak on is investing in the youth through good governance and human capital development in saving the planet. And I thought that it would just be good to get some grounding around the key concepts in this topic. Investing, investing basically it really means putting a power behind an issue. If you did a technical definition in the financial, from a financial perspective, it would simply be very pedantic. It would simply define investing as, giving resources to a matter, giving resources to an issue. But I look at investing as much more than that from the perspective that you are looking at it, which is, placing a lot of emphasis, putting a lot of priority, according priority to youth through good governance. That's the way I interpret your investing here. So for me, investing according the necessary attention, the necessary priority to youth through good governance and human capital development. So after investing, it's of course the question of who is youth. Youth is naturally assumed to be that period between childhood and adult age. That period, at that time when people come to independence, when they no longer need anyone to shepherd them around like children would. And so a definition of youth as being the period between childhood and adulthood, and as depicting an appearance of being fresh, of being vigorous, being spirited, and someone who is young, who is energetic. There is something about youth that makes us talk about the youth dividend. There is a dividend that comes from having young people. And that youth dividend is one thing that is associated with our continent, because our continent happens to be one which is a young continent. The definition of youth, according to the UN, looks at it as a youth being people who are between the age of, I think the UN defines youth as being from the age of 15 to 24. Africa defines it differently. Our own definition of youth is from the age of 15 to 35. I don't know why ours is, that benevolent or, very kind in making even 35-year-olds feel like they are youth, but that's the definition according to the Youth Charter of the African Union. And guess what? We're a young continent. We have a population that is more than 400 million young people. We are the continent that, it is estimated by the year 2035 that 1 out of every 3 young people in the world would be an African. A young person. So that is considerably significant. Statistically, it means a lot. And so it is a continent that must pay attention, therefore, to its youthful population. And in paying attention to the youthful population, I see what you have done in this topic. You're understanding that attention can only come from through good governance. And good governance is a critical matter. Because we have to ask ourselves, what exactly does good governance mean? We think that good governance, I would try to be specific in terms of my definition of good governance. I think, because sometimes we end up not realizing how critical it is to understand these concepts. The good governance is considered by the authors of the concept of good governance as the process of governance which is considered to be consistent with some critical features of what produces improvement in the well-being of the people of any country. So it is important to understand that good governance is so critical. It's so critical for ensuring that what we have in mind, investing in the youth, happens. Good governance as a process that ensures that public institutions of any society work appropriately, and that they not just work appropriately, but that they work in an inclusive manner. And once you mention the word inclusive, then it means you are thinking of all segments of a population of any society. The greatest tragedy of our continent has been an exclusion of the youth in the process of governance. Good governance would be the kind of governance that ensures that the youth are part of the process of the governance of their society, so that it results in us making the best use of resources that are at the disposal of the country in the management of the affairs of the country. So concepts like equity, like equality of opportunity, participation, accountability, fairness, justice, things to do with transparency and openness, efficiency, effectiveness. All of these are very important concepts in ensuring that you have good governance. So when you have good governance, then investing in the youth would be would result in better outcomes. Now, your outcomes are dependent on your priorities, right? So there are different priorities that are necessary for good governance. Priorities that we normally express in terms of areas or sectors of investment that are necessary to produce better societies. And so often, from a sectoral perspective, we will talk about investing in critical public goods that society would need in order to run itself well. So whether it's investment in critical infrastructure or investment in the human beings, so that they go from just being mere population to becoming human capital, to becoming human resources, especially to becoming world-class human resources, and then also investment in basic what we call the soft side of infrastructure, and some of this soft side of infrastructure really include especially the matter of your interest today, the planet, the environment, so that the environmental issues, investing in them, ensuring that there is an understanding of equity and intergenerational equity at that, is a part of the kind of good governance that would be useful to the youthful segment of our population, because they will inherit the legacy that is left behind. And future generations would inherit what they leave behind. And so understanding this in a way that ensures that current administrators of the earth, whether they are people who are leading countries or who are leading companies or who are leading communities or who are leading organizations like yours, get a full sense of the responsibility that must be taken for how this is done in order to ensure that the investment in youth actually achieves good results. So all of these sectoral areas of investment are important. But from your topic, it is even more important for you that we should emphasize the investment in human capital. Now, when we talk about investment in human capital, we essentially are talking about investing in the citizens. We're talking about investing in the citizens in the way that will ensure that the value of the citizens increases the value of society. Societies that have been good at investing in their people have ended up improving the quality of knowledge of their people, improving, therefore, the productivity and the competitiveness of their people. Human capital development is considered a prerequisite for sustainable and long-term economic development. I mean, when you look at economic league table, you will find that countries that are at the top of the economic league table are often the ones that have invested, that have been deliberate, and that have been intentional. Now I'm speaking like the Akanka people, that have been deliberate and intentional in investing in their citizens, because the investment in their citizens guarantee that the citizens will be the kind of human asset, the human capital that would drive their development process. But you are not just talking about the investment in human capital development that makes people productive and makes people competitive. You're saying the investment in human capital development that is responsible and responsive to the diktats of the world, that the earth that we inhabit today. How do you do it in a way to ensure that we are saving the planet? Of course, I'm a Christian. I'm born again, so I do believe that the planet is a gift that has been given to us by God. And there are people who sort of think that, there's nothing that's ever going to happen to the planet. We can do anything. We can behave recklessly, and that's fine because God will take care of it. But that's not the way it is. God expects us. He expects humanity to tend to the climate in a responsible way. And I think that your focus is on getting people to take responsibility. How do we invest in this teeming population of young people, the ones that the legacy of the earth belong to, in a way that they would have the consciousness to do the right things that pertain to the intergenerational equity that is necessary. So having given all of these definitional concepts and brought us to a place, someone is unmuted, so it's affecting my presentation. I hope they can mute. So having gotten how all of these connect, because I like to do a connecting the dots in my lectures. It's important that we should ask ourselves, what is it about our world today that is broken? What is it about our world today that is broken? What is broken about our world today is that we have not operated on the maxim of equity and equality of opportunity. And that has meant that even economic models that have been very good at producing greater prosperity for the world have been less than excellent in ensuring that the world operates on the maxim of equity and equality of opportunities. And that the world understands that equality and equity are the pillars of sustainability. Sustainability is guaranteed through an environment that upholds equity, that upholds equality of opportunity. But when our world operates an obsessive level of winner takes all, zero-sum game, we are found ourselves in a situation where we actually have hurt the environment, which is supposed to be tended to by us. Sustainability really means meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of others, especially of future generations, to meet their own needs. We can't ruin the future because we want to have the best of the present. And so if we will ensure that that does not happen, it is the current youth, the youth that we must invest in to ensure that the damages that have already been done can be course corrected for the future. The course correcting for the future can best be done by the young people today. Why? Number one, because they really have a skin in the game. The future belongs to the young. It is the duty, it is the moral obligation, therefore, of the young to pay the price of ensuring that the future is not ruined by the bad behavior of the fading generation. In other words, our older generation, me and those older than me, are going to fade away, but the future belongs to those within the category, the age range that we defined earlier. So they must take responsibility. They must take responsibility, one, by recognizing that they have a voice, and two, that they have a choice. They have a voice and they have a choice. On the matter of ensuring that we're saving the planet, the young people are demonstrating that they can use their voice and that they can make the right choices. So these two things are two things that I must encourage the young to continue to do. Use your voice to call for the right kinds of policies, the right kinds of, as in local policies, national policies, global policies. Use your voice to ask for the right kinds of institutional and regulatory frameworks, whether they are local, national, or global, regulatory and institutional frameworks to underpin the things that matter for the earth. And then you must use your voice to ask for the kinds of investment. So we know that it is important that we should explore options of technologies that would support sustainability, whether they are for energy, for agriculture, for water, for environment more broadly, for roads, for all kinds of infrastructure. These are important investments that need to happen. And so use your voice to ensure that around the world, those kinds of investments in the critical goods that are necessary for us to economically grow, but to grow in a way that does not imperil or ruin the future, is done. Okay? And then the second thing for me, after using your voice, are the choices that you make. You have to make responsible choices. It is very clear that the future of work for you is different. The future of work for you would require a different set of skills. You must be interested in exploring knowledge to the limit of what is feasible. It means, therefore, that you must invest your time, as Pamela said earlier, in a lot of research. You must enjoy knowledge. You must enjoy knowing. So you must be curious. Be totally curious, absolutely curious about how to solve new problems that we have not even imagined will emerge. You have to think of them. And to bring all of this together, I want to state clearly that if any group of people can change the trajectory of the world that is currently lacking of leadership, it is the young that can do it. The young people can see clearly that our world is in crisis. Our world is in crisis because there's a vacuum of leadership at national, at local, and at global levels. We're lacking leaders. We're lacking leaders that are taking responsibility for problems and solving problems without caring about their personal aggrandizement. We're lacking that nationally and globally. We're lacking that in public sector, in civil society, in business. So the young can actually define a different world. The young should not merely care about the issue of the climate. The climate is in crisis because of the failure of leadership. People are failing to lead. Therefore, if we have a leadership crisis and the young make up the majority of the population, especially in countries in Africa, it means that the young have the necessary data to redefine what leadership should look like. So why wait? It is time for the young who care about saving the planet to actually care about how they are governed. And so I end on the note that good governance for now and the future will be determined by the readiness of the young, the youth, to take responsibility for how the earth is governed. I thank you very much. God bless you all.
This is fantastic. This is a wonderful speech. This is a wonderful presentation. And I know everybody right now is ready to ask questions and to engage both speakers. I just want to say thank you, Ma, for this wonderful presentation. This is so amazing. And you said that your speech gave the young people on this platform hope, including myself, that we must know that we have a voice and then we have a choice. Because where I am from, there is this belief that we do not have a choice, maybe, and then we do not have a voice. But when someone like you is telling every one of us that we have a voice and then we have a choice, and the future is dependent on the choices that we will make, gives me a lot of hope. And I want to say thank you for this. I will just go by asking just one question. And I know everybody, if you know you have a question, just raise your hand. Questions for both Pamela and questions for both Pamela and Dr. Obiageli. Please raise up your hand so that we will be able to call you right after, please. I just have one question, Ma. And then in a situation whereby I am in Nigeria, for example, and there is a breach of trust, between the government and the young people. There is a breach of trust. That is, majority of Nigerians no longer, I'm not speaking for everybody, I can speak for myself and a few people that I know, that we no longer have that trust in our government taking care of us. What I mean is that when you talk about investing in our planet, investing in innovation, in technology, in the institutions that will help us to solve climate issue or climate crisis, or invest in young people, or to invest in children, what can we do, to clear this lack of trust that we have, and maybe just take the bull by the horn? Because I personally feel that without the input and the support of the government, it will be like a lost bird fighting in the winds. When organizations like ours, individuals like ours, is trying everything possible to fight climate change, but we're not getting any support, it could be demoralizing at times. What do you have for young people to encourage them, and also to make that breach of trust to, maybe just go away, and then we can face our future squarely?
So one thing about trust is that it cuts both ways, right? There are two parties to the process of building trust. So in the question that you've asked, we've got young people on the one hand, and we've got the older generation, especially as represented by institutions of governance on the other hand. I hope I'm not muted. Okay, you can hear me well. Yes. So when trust is broken between these two groups, it is important that each side would understand what it is that is broken. Is there fact around the broken trust? Is it or is it perception? And even if it is perception, sometimes perception can mirror reality. So just understanding what it means to say that trust is broken. Is it that there are mandates that government has had toward the young and that it has not fulfilled? I would say to the young people that I agree that trust is broken, but I would love to see the young people first invest analytically in laying out all the evidences that are necessary so that they would leave nobody in doubt that when they say trust is broken, trust is indeed broken. And even as one who is an older person and one who's been in government, I know that government has not been entirely trustworthy as an institution across not just Nigeria, but across our continent, because it has failed woefully in performing and delivering the results. And it has also shown itself to not be as caring about all segments of the population, especially the youthful population, especially women, especially children. So this feeling of being excluded from the benefits of governance created a lot of schism. It would be necessary for young people to invest in establishing the data points of these that are the drivers of this broken trust with government. Having done that, the next thing would be for young people to collaborate more. I think that young people are fractured. So you have different voices of young people. Those who love their oppressors will not agree with you that there is any basis for thinking that trust is broken. So you do need to build a common sense of what I would call a common cause. You need to build a common cause, and that requires collaboration amongst young people. Young people tend to have this attitude that two people cannot be great at the same time. That's wrong. The peer envy amongst you as young people stands in the way of collaboration. You need to collaborate more. When you collaborate more, then you would have the kind of numbers behind your common cause that can then engage government and say, you have not been trustworthy. Then your voice, not voices, but voice, okay, as a singularity would then be meaningful to engage. Because what is it that we have seen? What we have seen is that governments, political, especially because it's the politicians, they really don't care if you have a divided front and you're trying to engage them on an issue. They already see that you're divided, so they can play divide and rule. And therefore they would say, no, we don't have a problem. You're the one with the problem. So I think that the more that you can build unity of course of action amongst yourselves, the more you can celebrate yourselves. Like it doesn't take away anything from you to celebrate the other person and to cooperate and to collaborate so that you would be a formidable group. And then you engage. Now you have the evidence, you also have the strength of unity to engage. So when you do that, you will do that effectively. And when you do that, because you're doing that in a way that is strategic, in a way that is empirically grounded, very analytically strong, you cannot be dismissed. Nobody can say to you, these young people, they like to complain. They just like being angry. They can be angry for no reason. No, you are solid in your articulation of what the issues are, and you can take anyone to the table. You can compel people to come to the table. They would have a disincentive to ignore you. The young must collaborate and engage the government in a way that there is a disincentive from ignoring you. Today, governments don't have a disincentive for ignoring you. They can ignore you with no consequences whatsoever. But if you got yourselves in a better kind of frame, if you're, as my sons normally say, through their framework of intention at the Akanka group, they say that you must give gratitude. And that's important because what they are essentially saying is that, okay, don't dismiss everybody. Don't just simply say, the old people are just bad. They haven't given us anything. They've been very unkind to us. They are so unfair. All of them are the same. No. That's ingratitude. So you start with gratitude by sort of reflecting and saying, in all of this massive mess that we see around us, there are still points of light. There are certain things that our parents have handed over to us, especially for those of you who have been given the best education that their parents could afford. You have to acknowledge that and be grateful for that. So you give, you're grateful for what the legacy, the one that you have been given, and then you're grateful for it. Then I think my son say, be grateful. I think, how did I mix them up? I think give gratitude, take responsibility, and there's one that I am missing. Yeah, anyway, I don't know why I missed it.
Slow down.
Slow down one. And so the slow down one is the first one, right? Because it says that you should just simply reflect. And there's a tendency when we're young to be so passionate. So sometimes, calm down, angers you even more. You're like, don't tell me to calm down. This thing is, I'm just so angry right now. I want to destroy everything, but my sons are saying, slow down, So for example, if I had slowed down, I would have remembered the first thing in the framework of intention, right? I didn't slow down, so I began to struggle with it. But slow down, we must learn the art of slowing down. We slow down in order to make progress, in order to gain speed. There is a lot of speed that we can gain by slowing down. So slow down, the youth should slow down and invest their time in those kinds of things that I talked about. The research that Pamela spoke about, the getting the facts right, getting the data points, getting the knowledge. Okay, the old have not done it well. How can it be done better? So you're not just speaking in generalities, right? Slow down is the period when you're investing in the things that are critical for engaging. So slow down, then you give gratitude, and then you take responsibility. I think that the most unproductive young people are the ones who don't take responsibility. Everybody has done something wrong, but they have not done anything wrong. But even worse, they have not done anything. It's a terrible thing for a youth to go through life not having done anything. You have to do something, you have to take responsibility, do something meaningful, and that way the youth can build trust and and compel the older people to also engage with them through trust. I'm sorry I took quite a lot of time explaining this particular issue, but I believe that it encompasses everything that I'd like to leave you with, even for the rest of your conference.
I know Pamela might want to react to this. I want to give her the opportunity to react to this. And while doing that, I also want to have, I think I have a question for her, because she talks about we listening to nature, and nature has lived, for so many years, and nature is like our mother. Of course, the motherhead is our nature, and there are solutions in nature. And I want her to maybe elaborate on few nature-based solutions that we can adopt, in trying to solving the issue of climate change, and also spreading climate education to the younger generation.
Okay, well, I first wanted to comment on the phenomenal Obi. And I think we share the platform of passion. That's the fuel, and the key, it's love. It might sound very cheesy, but love, Obi talks about the love for God, how that is a major drive in her life, but she also made the distinction that therefore you should not just be a fatalist or just say, okay, somebody else is going to do it, because that has been the narrative for decades. The politicians promise, we talked about the crisis there, the dichotomy of trust. Politicians who promise, and then at the end of the game, they change course and that promise never materialized. That is something that cannot exist any longer. This is the era of truth. And so the era of truth is that the gratitude that Obi also talked about, first and foremost, the gratitude for your life. You're existing. You have a whole life to develop who you are. The seed is in you from your birth, and it's your responsibility to find your talent, to find your passion. And that can only happen when you're exposed to these smaller projects, trial and error. I like this, I don't like this. Ooh, let me try. Scary to try something new, but that's growth, right? That's expansion, to go in a new domain. And I think the new domain for Earth, to wrap it back up to your question, is to learn the language of Mother Earth. After you identify who you are, what your talents are, because we all have to, again, roll up the sleeves and get to work. For the older generation, they were also just a product of their time and culture. I can complain about my grandparents or the ancestors before. I prefer to express gratitude because their gene code also is a part of me, and I have to honor that, right? The honor of the past. If you turn yourself against the past, you turn yourself against a lot of things. The history is done. There's lessons to learn. Atrocities have happened on a collective level, on a small scale level, micro level, and it's still happening today. So the biggest thing is, for me, human development was in a crisis. And I think Obi also mentioned that Yes, the environment is in a crisis, but who was to blame? Is the greed, is the I'm better than you. So the equality of I'm one human, I have a devotion to life, and I have a responsibility. Nature-based solutions. I think my dear friend, the former European director of the IUCN, International Union for the Conservation of Nature, IUCN had a big symposium in September. I believe it was Marseille. And there suddenly their whole language changed. They had already offered nature-based solutions, but being a friend, and that's also the power of inspiration, I said, I'm working on listening to the language of Mother Earth. Suddenly in the IUCN declaration came, establish a relationship with Mother Earth. Nature will always go through a balancing act. So what I think humans have to first learn from nature is to become balanced again. Balance the masculine and the feminine within you, meaning the drive to get up, to do something, to innovate, but also the drive to care and to nurture. And that unification of a balanced mind, of a peaceful mind, again, slowing down, living from your heart, you become more powerful. You see clearer. You just operate on a different level. And maybe that's why I'm so productive and efficient. I listen to Mother Earth. I try to learn every day. Again, I meditate quite a bit. I have rituals that I integrate that also include simply saying, thank you, Mother Earth, for giving me all these resources. So nature-based solutions, I think the first nature-based solutions is for human to learn to have a relationship. Because right now, and we have so many reasons to compare intergenerational crises as well. When kids say, oh my God, grandparents, you did not do that or this. Kids today walk with cell phones. I didn't have a cell phone when I was a teenager. How many cell phones do kids change? Like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, having the latest. We don't need the latest. I was having a fixed telephone on a wall. I wasn't home. Nobody could reach me. It gave me peace. I was out in nature. I did programs in nature. So I think humans, the biggest nature-based solutions is for humans to understand that there are natural ecosystems, very exciting natural ecosystem, mental, physical, and spiritual. And how do you nurture the riches within? If you're overflowing, like you're looking at me right now with passion, and I didn't even sleep much because I have a lot on my plate and I'm a devoted person. But to understand that we're human and that we're spirits, having a human experience will change the entire narrative. We're not entitled. We should not wake up and grow up saying, I'm entitled to. You have to grow up and wake up and say, what can I do for you? And I think that's one of the presidents in America who said that as well. Kennedy, don't ask other people what they can do for you. Ask yourself, what can I do for you? If you see an imbalance, rise up, seize the leadership. Because Mother Earth is challenging us. She will exist. She will continue to live on. But are we going to continue to live on, and under what conditions? So allow for wetlands to be wetlands. We saw, and it's an important function. There's a lot of developments by regional coast, by coastal lines or swamps. Let that be a swamp. It's a buffer. It absorbs excess of water. So what I also learned from Wangari Maathai, you have to read her book Unbowed. I always give a tip to enhance your curiosity and to go deeper into knowledge. In Kenya, when she talked about her ancestors and how she grew up and how that changed, there were certain reasons to leave a tree in the middle of an agrarian field, because that tree had a purpose. So we have to go back to ask your grandparents. Now we can solve that intergenerational crisis that seems to be there. Solve it. Include the elders, include the wisdom, grandma, grandpa. How did you manage this? What changed in the course of 40 or 50 years? So nature-based solution, yes, Mother Earth is a mentor, but don't exclude the capital of the ancestors and that cultural print. We shouldn't all copy each other. Every cultural society or geographic reality has a different need. So we have to go back also, while we have a global world that caused problems of famine and pollution and climate refugees. Let's wake up to that reality. But I think it's too philosophical for early morning. It's only 9:20 for me. And we can continue the conversation, but respect the boundaries, go back to where the boundaries were healthy, and use your common sense and mostly your heart as well. And include Mother Earth in every decision making. In Belgium, where I'm from, I'm just going to give you a case from Belgium. We used to have a Secretary of State for Sustainable Development, and that group entity would send out observers if new legislation would be voted. And they would advise and look into how is this new law going to impact the environment? How is it going to impact ecosystems? So that would also be very important. On the political agenda, which is equally important, is to allow for groups to analyze potential new laws if you're really serious about sustainability and not as an empty promise. But if you're really intrinsically interested in the real sustainability, then again, we have to, Obi, I'm referring to you again, the structural component. What doesn't work anymore? Be transparent. Yes, we're going to vote this law because it's good for people, it's good for the planet. And that should be the intent. We talked about intent as well. Always ask, what is your intent? Because the person has to become real. And this is the era of real. If people are uncomfortable, it's because people that they are dealing with are not real. They might have a second agenda. So if you are real, you will automatically, and stay in that powerful seat of yours, you will automatically see who is real and not. So that's another very important lesson. Might not be really related to nature-based solutions, but it's the natural part of us. And instinctively, we know a person hasn't a good agenda. And when you are connecting with that energy of Mother Earth that I talked about, nature-based solution, there is a lightness that will come to you and it will serve you even more. So hopefully that was a little bit of advice.
All right, thank you, Faye. So Dr. Obi and Pamela, we're really very grateful. I feel this should be like a daily mantra for us, something to keep us, once you get to it in the morning, it's like an early morning dose for a reboost or a reset for the day. It was really inspiring, it was really touching. We're really grateful. Thanks for your presence. So also the next speaker is a tech person, and I want to believe that most of us in tech will really be excited about this. The uniqueness of this program is that it appeals to everybody from different walks of life. Like for this particular team this year, no walk of life is actually exempted from it. So I would like to present to us Afolabi Monsur, who is currently the CEO and co-founder of Magnet INC, an IT firm focused on training engineers from novice to experts and assisting them to get paid jobs. This is what we want, right, as youth, especially in Nigeria of today. So Magnet also builds top-notch IT solutions, including apps, websites, and so on. Monsur, being an expert in the tech industry, has co-founded multiple startups across the globe in various specializations. Is passionate about living in a sustainable environment, which is why he went further to get an education in sustainability science. He has worked with various teams to build products relating to sustainability. Monsur is also a co-founder of Nature Lab, a tech accelerator committed to helping nature-based startups transform their ideas into functioning solutions. Mr. Monsur, it's a privilege to host you today, and please, you may have the floor.
Thank you very much for that, Folasade. First of all, I have to apologize to everyone. I may not be able to share my video right now. I have an impromptu, event that came up that put me on the road, and I still want to do this because it's already fixed, right? So again, I'll be very concise as much as possible. I'll take up the journey I will not talk too much about my background as a tech person, but you've said it all. I'm the CEO of Minaget, based in Bahrain, and I also founded multiple startups, which includes Markets NG in Nigeria, and also Black in Tech Global in the US. And of course, I'll talk more on the product of Black in Tech Global, which is Nature Lab. I'll share my screen right now. I'll just do a quick presentation of what Nature Lab is all about. And then we talk, you ask me questions if you have. So first of all, what I'm bringing to the table is an opportunity for tech startups that are in the nature space, okay, to get into a solution we are providing to them to help them scale their product at the global level, right? So what is Nature Lab? Nature Lab is a tech accelerator committed to helping nature-focused startups, actually, okay? So, and what do we do and why did we start this? So we believe that we can harness the goodness of tech to preserve our planet and achieve our environmental goals. I've been in the tech space for more than 14 years, okay? I've done startups and I've seen the wave of the future, that everything will be tailored towards the space, right? And also, as much as it's a blessing to us, there are also ways where tech is also, if it's not properly used, okay, it can be a problem, for the future, because if it's going to take up 60% of the job, will have something to do with it, then it has to, be looked into critically, right? And see how best it can be, harnessed to actually be a blessing to the nature than harm, right? So then we want to contribute to solving the environmental problem. Then we started Nature Lab, okay, which is a tech startup, which is to support tech startup in nature-focused products to gain global potential, right? So first of all, I will talk a bit about my co-founders. So Nature Lab is co-founded by investors, actually. So we have the likes of Joe Osawaye, who is a serial investor based in the US, and we also have so many other limited partners that are willing to actually fund tech startups in this space, right? And what do we offer to the startups, right? So first of all, we once we are able to onboard the startup into our programs, we help them with mentorship, okay? We give them access to professionals on how to advise them on how they can scale their products on a global level. And if it's targeted towards the local scope as well, we help them have the maximum reach they can get. We help them attain it, actually. And the second thing we also offer them is funding, right? So when we see a viable startup that is profitable, we already have, access to a range of investors that are willing to fund startups like this, and they support them with capital, and we support them with the resources that are required in terms of, how do I say, technical team they may need to build advanced things, high-end marketing, people that we have within our team, as well as, help them sell their product as much as we can to eventually, reach the highest number of audience that we can get it to, right? And so what are the kind of startups we are open to? Okay, so we are open year-round, okay, to tech startups that contribute to the SDG, SDG 3, 7, 8, 9, 13 and 15 actually. And for those of us that don't know, we're talking about like startups that are working on sustainable development goals that are into the good health and well-being, which is the 3, okay? People who are working around affordable and good energy, that's 7. People working around decent work and economic growth, that is 8. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure, we have people who work around that space also, we help them. And lastly, people who are working on climate action. So I've tried to make it concise actually. Initially, I have a very long presentation, but due to the situation of things which I didn't plan for, I try to rather focus on where we can actually help the people we have out there that may eventually have a startup they are working on and they're struggling with finances or with the kind of, like technical resources that may be required to attain their goals. They can actually go to naturelab.io, right? So go on naturelab.io and you can apply as a startup. Okay, and once you apply, our team will reach out to you and we see how we can support you further. So thank you very much. If you have questions around Nature Lab, yes, go ahead. I'm open to answer your questions. And yes, so that's it from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Monsur. We'll just like to have Drishya's presentation to round everything up. Drishya will be talking about the role of technology and innovation. Drishya is also part of the POP movement, and she's also part of the team. And I don't really want to waste so much of our time, but I would like to have Drishya to come on board now, and then we can round up this session. But I will just quickly introduce Ms. Drishya Pathak. He is a passionate researcher working in the field of public health and environment with a view to bring a social and ecological impact through our work. She believes that protecting the planet is not one individual job, but in fact should be a way of life for each and every person. She has worked on various areas within public health in COVID-19, tuberculosis, maternal and child health, and self-care for sexual and reproductive health. With her exceptional expertise in project planning and implementation, she has presented several groundbreaking reports in the area of public health, like universal health coverage, civil society and community consultation, dissemination of WHO self-care guidelines for vulnerable and key population, UNAIDS, and the Youth Consultation Project on SDGs. She has been a distinguished scholar with a master's in health management and research from the International Institute of Health Management and Research, and an undergraduate in microbiology from the University of New Delhi. I just want to say welcome, and the floor is yours.
So before I share my screen, thank you so much, Say, for this lovely introduction, and Futuresavers and the Ervis Foundation for having me here, and thank you for being partnering with the POP movement. So as Say mentioned, that I'm working with the youth organization full of young people, working with the young people, called the POP movement, which is Protect Our Planet movement. And I am based in India, but the POP movement has a global reach. We have a reach in almost 123 countries, and that gives us a privilege to interact with the youth from around the world, around the globe, from various regions, work closely with them, and also to help them by providing them various platforms to either generate funding or to actually represent their work at international level to policymakers, or teach others how to actually, start your own interventions and your own projects and take climate action. So this was a brief introduction about the POP movement and myself. I would like to now play a video, first of all, which is about Sir John McMahon, who is the founder of the John McMahon Innovation Lab within the pop movement. The Innovation Lab has been inspired because of the amazing work that he has been doing. So this video is to make it easy for you to understand who is he and what his vision is, where he's having a conversation with Dr. Ash Pachauri, the founder of the pop movement. So with that, I will now share my screen. The idea behind playing this video was to make you understand that how you can work, any business can actually practice, whether it is agriculture based, whether it is industrial based, can practice, sustainability by adopting science and technology and actually make a lot of money out of it, and can also offer a platform for the young people to actually learn from the real life experiences that how we can innovate. So I'm here to present the project that we are working on with the pop movement, which is called the Pop Conclave, which promotes innovation and technology. Now, what we do is that we invite facilitators from all over the world who are working on various innovation and technology based projects, where they come and specifically talk about specific areas within as part of their project, and share it with the young people who have now started working on something which is related to innovation and science, or are in middle of something, any climate action project which can help them to actually practice some interventions and learn from others. So we did one conclave recently in the month of January, where we had almost 14 facilitators from around the world who actually talked about their projects and discussed with the various project groups how they can work specifically on their projects, which if it is innovation and technology based. It was a structured conclave for about 570 minutes that was run over the course of 2 months, and all the video, all the interactions are present on the YouTube channel of the pop movement, and you all can go and visit it. I would now like to generate a discussion, or widen up your horizon by making you think about something in the form of my presentation. So what I want you to focus right now is that I have put together some boxes, and the orange boxes are the issues that everybody is talking about, that we need to take climate action. There should be mitigation actions, there should be adaptation actions, but these are just a few problems or the challenges that we have started facing already, and in the future can be the reason for our existential risk as well. And the green, which is right below the orange box, is in a way which can help you to actually provide solution to those major problems. Now, all these solutions can be at micro level by a young person who is starting their own projects, at community level, or can also be brought about by businesses or any organization or policymakers as well. So now I'll just pick up a few slides for a few boxes over here to make you think about that, what technology can do. So I'll start with water. We all know water is like a big issue, and water scarcity is a big issue. We are already experiencing it, no matter you are in Africa, Latin America, India, US, Europe. Every country has challenges based on water. Now, what technology can do in this? So I have, put together this small slide with some measures that can be taken with the help of technology that can actually solve the issue of water scarcity. Like, how can we measure and project water supply? If we are able to do that, and technology can help you, can offer a lot of solutions when you talk about water security. Measuring the snow depth to anticipate runoff and seasonal water availability. This is for areas that are very cold. Then designing sustainable irrigation system, which also demands technology, which makes it simpler and better. Designing safe wastewater treatment system for capturing, treatment, reuse, and release of water, and also monitoring it on a regular basis. So then that means that, whatever supply of water, treated water is done, that is captured regularly, which can offer a great solution. Mapping urban impervious expansion, which can lead to severe flooding. So a lot of countries are facing this issue now, small locations where flooding is actually a reason because of the unplanned urban development. Then monitoring the water quality regularly, geospatial imagery of waterways to monitor the pollutants. So now there are technology coming up that you can detect the type of microplastics through technology which are there in the waterways. So these are some of the solutions that technology can offer, and it's just to make you think about that, in which direction you can go to actually solve or bring a step or get closer to a step towards solving that problem. Now my next box is about hot and cold emergencies. This is basically, the recent weather is showing us extreme temperature rise or extreme temperature lows, and we are breaking records everywhere. So now what technology can offer, as a solution? The forecast plan for heat related health disasters due to power failures, identifying urban heat islands, determining tree cover extent in urban areas, or monitoring the snow cover to identify areas vulnerable to power outages. It's not just about power outages, but of course about when there is snow, then whether people can migrate to some other location so that there is no life loss because of that. I would also like to talk about floods. And we can easily access the risk and prepare and respond to these floods by mapping flood-prone areas, delineate floodplains, map land use, where the land has been used or not, and when there are floods, which land can be used to divert the water at an immediate response. Planning evacuation routes, like what routes are empty and do not have water flooding, so that people can be evacuated easily. Assess the damage that is caused by flooding. Update new baseline maps for affected areas so that people are aware of it in advance, and monitor the recovery efforts, that is whether at human level, at technology level, what kind of interventions were done when area was affected by floods. So these are some of the boxes that I've covered based on the time I had today. But for each of the boxes, there are multiple solutions that can be mapped and can be worked upon. And this is my appeal to the young people who are on the call and who will watch it later, that these are the solutions that are already there. All you have to do is start thinking in that direction, that what can help you to actually be part of taking climate action now. And these solutions that I showed you can be done by even one individual. All you have to do is explore more about technology, and just have that determination. And through our platform, through conclaves that we are trying to conduct, and through our innovation lab, we'll keep motivating the young people and provide them the right direction how they can work on any of these or each of these solutions. So thank you, Say, and thank you, everybody. I don't know if you guys have any questions, but I'm open for questions if you have.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Drishya, for the documentary and then your elaborate presentation. And, because the role of technology cannot be undermined when it comes to climate solutions. And then as young people, I think we should be thinking tech solutions in solving issues, because tech makes solving of problem easier in this generation. And you talked about the water crisis. We are all facing it everywhere in the world. Even in Africa, the Lake Chad is drying off. And then, this is a time whereby we need to start waking up. Even in Nigeria, we can see a lot of drought occurrences in the northern part of Nigeria, and even in the southern part of Nigeria now, that is predominantly known to be rainforest region. But now we're experiencing drought. And I think it's the best moment to start thinking of solutions, to reducing water consumption, maybe in agriculture, for example, like you mentioned. Maybe we can look into how we can use hydroponic farming system or aquaponic farming system in trying to minimize and to reduce the consumption of water. And that is going to really go a long way to solving our issues. But thank you once again, Drishya. It was wonderful hearing you and seeing all the good work and passion that you're putting into solving climate crisis in India and also around the world. Tomorrow is the event for
So for the last and not the least, we have the CFR team on goals. So CFR is the Carbon Footprint Reduction Project. It's an organization that aims to develop climate science in foster environmental appreciation and action. CFR, they actually have one of 5 projects to present at the POP Festival. They're actually a group of young minds. You'll be very surprised when you start to hear them speak. You're wondering, these are really children, but they're not children. No, we don't have children these days. We have adults already. No child these days. But as I'm saying, they are actually a group of 300 students and 23 experts from 13 countries. And then they have worked closely with the international pop movement, Ervis Foundation, Global Shapers Nodia, and several researchers. So CFR, please, you can take this.
All right. Yeah. So hello, I'm Bhavya. Okay, I'm a grade 10 student and I live in India. And today I'm here with the rest of my team, and we'll just be basically taking you through the CFR project. And we have a really kind of cool statement that we wanted to get everyone here to buy into the idea of. All right. So basically, the CFR project stands for Carbon Footprint Reduction, and it's this thing that we've been working on for the past year. We tackle a lot of different things, but most of our work kind of delves into climate science, into research, and into kind of implementation of solutions in our own homes. All right, but let's get started. Because the bold statement that we want everyone to agree with is that climate action is for everyone. All right, let's get into this. Basically, I am selfish, all right? It's true, I'm selfish. And the thing is, I like a lot of things, right? I like math, I like computer science, I love the Lord of the Rings. And that's basically how I want to spend the rest of my life. This is what I want to do. I want to study these things, I want to research them. And there are some absolutely incredible people that, as you can see on my slide right here, these people have changed everything for humanity. They have brought in so much social change. They've been the most selfless people, dedicating their entire lives to working on a social cause. But I am not them, all right? I want to do math. I want to sit in and I want to write on a piece of paper because that is where I am interested. And the thing is, there are a ton of different personalities. Okay, there's this website, very famous, and it describes 16 different personality types. And each one of these personalities have different goals. Some are analytical, some are, as it says, diplomats, some are explorers, some are emotional, some are artistic, right? And here's the thing, okay? there is a fundamental concept in economics called the invisible hand. And this basically says that when individuals act in their self-interest, it can actually benefit society, right? And in economics, this has to do with the setting of market prices. It has to do with surpluses. It has to do with ensuring that consumers don't have to pay too much and that companies can earn revenue. But this thing can also apply to climate action. When we act in our self-interest, that is, when we follow our hobbies, when we work on the things that we like to work on, it can actually end up benefiting the fight against climate change. And now let's take a look at the CFR project as an example, right? I said I like math and I like computer science. And so that is basically what my main work at the project is. We're developing a state-of-the-art emissions calculator that will essentially help flyers calculate their emissions from aircraft. And we've done a ton of work in this field. Recently, we submitted a paper to the IEEE, which is this kind of international organization for engineers, on a new method to essentially predict variables in our atmosphere, predict temperature, predict humidity, predict pressure, in order to create better models to calculate flight emissions. I've also worked on creating the world's first open source database of airways. It's still in progress, but it's basically a field of computer vision and of computer science applied to aeronautics that is being applied in turn to fighting climate change by measuring aircraft emissions. Here's another example. Abia, do you want to talk about tumbleweed? All right, I don't know if Abia is here, but I suppose I can take over for her. So basically, Tumbleweed is CFR's newsletter, all right? We are planning to kind of release this like bi-monthly thing where we essentially share stories, poems, articles, rants on different themes to do with climate change. And we'll be releasing our first issue very, very soon. But here's the thing. Tumbleweed only came into creation because of all of the different things that went into it, right? The creative writing, the scientific writing, all of the designing on Canva, all of the artwork and all the illustrations, and even the outreach to ensure that it could go out to people. This is an example of when our team members were doing what they liked, their hobbies, working in their self-interest, but also working towards a greater goal of fighting climate change and spreading awareness through our newsletter. Vedant, would you like to talk about the model house?
Yeah, so the model house is all about easy, implementable solutions. The type of climate action we see today is in the form of extremes, a dedication of one's life's earning or work towards becoming sustainable, neither of which many people have. This isn't practical. So at the model house, we're promoting actions in the form of small increments with contextualized, convenient, and implementable solutions. One small step for climate action and one giant step for mankind. Carrying on with the theme of self-interest and benefiting everyone, here at Model House, we love doing research and we love handling mathematics. And so what we've been doing over the past few weeks is developing a model to calculate the emissions of air conditioners and not only their carbon footprint, but their financial footprint. And that can be seen on the far left with our intense mathematics and research. And then in addition to that, we do data analysis to tell your carbon footprint and various other things. And as you can see on the far right, we did that when we were talking about the carbon footprint output of your diet, your dietary impact on the climate. And we released multiple videos on that. We released multiple posts on that. And we are currently in the process of releasing our research.
Hey, so I'm going to take this part of the presentation, quick introduction. My name's Dave, and I love doing things on ground. So Bhavya said that he likes things from home. I'm the one who likes to do things on the ground. But talking about the CFR project, one of the things that we're doing, one of our social aspects is the CFR game show, Getting Played. And what it does is that it fuses pop culture topics, Marvel, Disney, Harry Potter, with socioeconomic issues like, should we be leaving Earth to colonize Mars, or should we be spending money in fixing what we have here? But not only is this about climate change, it's also about us putting in what we like. So if you go to the next slide, I'll be talking about a bot. Okay, a bot that I have programmed. You can see the screenshot over there. And what I like to do in the game show is just sit and code a user interface. Because one of the things that I realize is that I like seeing how people respond to different kinds of events and different kinds of, I like organization, right? So this is what I do at the project. I make sure that when people are coming to our event, they have a user interface that they understand. But we have other kinds of programming at CFR as well, which again help put our project out forth. So whether it's web development, we have an amazing website which you can check out at cfrproject.org, or whether it is using various data analytical tools to make sure that our project is set forth or is being picked up by algorithms like Instagram or website. And this isn't exactly related to climate change, but it is related to skills which are helping put forth our work into the public domain and tell people that this is what we're doing, which is an important part of climate action in the modern world. Okay, and coming back on the same line, we're using a bunch of software. So we spoke about Canva earlier. We have all our documents on things like Microsoft Office, and and we have our Discord server where we're also having events like the game show. And the point is that when we have a philosophy of climate change, there are a lot of skills that are required to make sure that what we're trying to do is put forth. So whether it is like the emissions factor that Bhavya spoke about, it needs to be coded. You need to do machine learning in the back end. So there's a lot of back end things that need to be done that are instrumental in bringing different aspects to climate change, whether it's technology or economics or sociology. And these are the things that we realize that unite our CFR team, which we will talk about later, because it's because wait, can you go to your slide? Because it's not always easy to be motivated by one cause. And that's also why you have multiple other things motivating you to work every day. Next slide. Okay, so you can see the POP movement there. You can see the Ervis Foundation, a lot of the organizations that are working on this Earth Day as well. And one of the other things that I like to do at CFR is, again, put forth the project to other people. So I like to think I'm an extrovert. So whether it is talking to people about our work, attending conclaves like these. We had the technology conclave that I think Drishya spoke about in her presentation. So another aspect that is important to climate action is talking about your work, which is again a social skill, and a lot of people are interested in that. So that's another example of how self-interest can play into climate action. Okay.
So the idea here is basically that climate action is for everyone. That was the theme of basically our presentation. And what we're essentially saying is that moving into the future, we need climate action to be kind of like a unification of all the skills of humanity, right? Whether you're artistic, whether you're a thinker, whether you just like to do outreach and marketing, right? At CFR, when we look for new members who are interested in our project, it's less about whether they're interested in fighting climate change and more about whether they're interested in like what they do, what their hobbies are, what their skills are. And we can show them through our project that they can use whatever their skill is to essentially fight climate change on the side, right? It's you acting on your self-interest, doing what you like, and also having a greater difference to the world. A very good example of this is our Instagram. You can actually go ahead and follow it. We did a bunch of series on different kinds of artists kind of coming together with nature, right? We did a series on painters, on writers, on musicians. This is another example of the kind of multidisciplinary approach towards fighting climate change. And so with that, hopefully we have convinced you all that climate action is for everyone. Like the CFR project has just taught me that I can make a difference in the world when I follow what I like, which is math and which is science. And when we go out to schools and present to students, that is our same philosophy, that they can do whatever they want and also help fight climate change at the same time. Well, thank you.
Wow, I'm just really very, very, very impressed. Wow, with so much. I mean, I'm just too impressed. Well, because I have like an IT background, and then I'm like, at my age, let me tell you, I'm still struggling. And then seeing young minds like this, and then doing coding and doing amazing things, I can't, I don't intend to say that you guys are going to mentor me in the future, hopefully. I hope I can come for your classes. But that aside, you guys are doing amazingly well. You're doing awesomely well. And then, like you said, climate action is for everyone. The aircraft model you just showed also shows how brilliant, we as youths can actually start to, get really busy with things that has to do with the environment. And honestly, your foundation is where what you do there is rare. And I want to ask a question. Do you have like branches in other parts of the world aside from in India?
So we have branches in cities in India, not in other countries, unfortunately. So basically the main way we kind of recruit members is, I guess, we know them. They're our friends, or they attend the same schools as us. So we haven't been able to expand out of India yet.
Because I'm just thinking, what do you think if we could actually start up like a club in Nigeria, even if it's virtual? I think should we think about it?
That would be amazing. I think.
Yeah. I think we should connect after the meeting, and then we should really discuss this. And because I also feel that there are a lot of talents and young minds here, just that they don't have the platform. Maybe when they see people like you, you can be mentors to them, and then role models to them, and then they can actually get as creative as you do. Yeah. Or someone said, include me here in Kenya. Okay. I know you shared your handles during the presentation, but do you mind? Would you want to share again in the chat for those that I want to connect with you either on Twitter, directly on Twitter, and me on Instagram?
Yeah, sure. Actually, do that quickly.
I guess everybody is as inspired and flabbergasted and blown away as I am. Thank you so much, Xavier. Thank you, Vedant. Thank you, Abia, and every other person. God bless you. I wish you more of God's creative minds and all. Shay, please, over to you.
All right, thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. You've really inspired everybody. I think you were also part of our program last year. I think you presented.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah, and you're all grown up. You're big guys now. I cannot imagine. That's so beautiful, and I'm so happy seeing you guys consistently doing what you're passionate about, using AI. I remember last year you talked about AI. Yes, I cannot forget. You talked about AI, using artificial intelligence, in solving climate issues. And now you're talking about maths, you're talking about data science. That's a lot of scope. I mean, you're broadening your scope. And I cannot imagine where you guys will be. And I'm so sure in a few years, the likes of NASA will be struggling to have you guys. I'm 100% sure of that. And we are so inspired, and I know everybody here is inspired. And this is a nice ending for today. And I want to ensure everybody too that you should also join us same time tomorrow. We have a couple of young people coming from different parts of the world, and tomorrow we are going to be focusing on investing in the youth, because we're going to be talking about youth importance in this discussion of climate change. Youth leaders come and discuss, they will come to discuss importance of the role of young people and as needed when it comes to climate, making climate decisions and decision-making process for our planet. We're going to be having Mel, we're going to be having Gloria, Anna, Danny, Prachi, Mida, Hope, Shanket, Devyani, and also we're going to be having Derek from FDA. We're going to be having Dr. Jumoke Ogunrayi as well. So tomorrow is also going to be an awesome time. And I just want to encourage you, for your participants, that for your participation and for your certification, it's very, very important that you are a part of this tomorrow. And next tomorrow is the grand finale. We're having fantastic speakers that you're going to be hearing about tomorrow. I want to appreciate everybody for this, for their time, standing by. It's not easy to bring young people together. We have a lot of things that could easily distract us, but then coming together on this platform, staying high, it's something really, really encouraging. I want to say thank you so much. And once again, like I said, Futuresavers Sustainable Development Initiative, you can go online to follow us on all our platforms. Ervis Foundation, you can go online. Pop Movement, you can go online to check. So I want to say thank you. But before I go, before everybody closes for today, you can turn on your video. I would like you to turn on your video for a good picture, like we have always been doing, with a beautiful face. And yes, thank you. People are turning on. Right, perfect. So turn on your video. We're going to be having a group picture today, and then we are celebrating investing in our planet. I think we should go by the Indian way today by saying namaste to Mother Nature. So can we do this today? Namaste to Mother Nature. Can we just do that? Yes? Video on. It's going to be beautiful to have your beautiful faces. Thank you guys. Yes. Priyanka, are you ready to take the okay.
Yes. 3,
so
2,
let's go by
1.
the Indian way now. Oh yeah, namaste. Samuel, please, on your video.
Got it. Page 2, just 1 second. 3, 2, 1. Got it.
What about the second slide? Did you take the picture for the second slide?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Same time tomorrow. You're gonna get your link. Also today, you're gonna get your link. Thank you wherever you are. You can unmute now. You can connect. You can share your social media handle. You can follow each other. You can